Hey, Melody here, Chief Storyteller from the Fairy GMO Academy, where we help entrepreneurs tell stories that make their clients' dreams come true. And this is Ask Me Anything, where you get to ask your questions about writing, whether it's writing blog posts or emails or series of articles or lead-generating eBooks or full self-published books. If you have a question, we've got the answer. So if you want to ask away and we'll answer. Today's question comes from a Facebook again, just like last week, but this is from Lawrence. And I was actually asking people, what do you want me to talk about at an upcoming conference? And this was the topic. And the question was, how do I gather information from potential clients? How do I gather what their problems are, what their challenges are, what their issues are, and how do I develop content for that? Here's my answer. I do this all the time. This is actually really, really important because it's actually linked to another question I get, which is, how do I come up with blog content? How do I come up with content day after day, week after week? These two questions are actually quite related. And I'm going to look down because I have a list here. Don't want to miss anything. So one of the things I do is I network. And when I'm networking, I ask people, what are your challenges? What are your writing projects? What do you struggle with when you're writing at work? I'm always asking these questions. And then when people ask me, I give them an answer. Right then and there, I answer their questions. And then I take that question and I write it down for later. And then it pops up in things like, ask me anything. So I'm always gathering questions and going into a networking event and asking people, what are your challenges around this area where I have expertise? Starts fabulous conversations where people really appreciate the information that you give them. So really twofold. One, it helps me network. It helps me connect with people networking because I'm out there helping people, genuinely helping people and caring. And two, it gathers information for me, gathers questions for me that I can then take back with me and write blog posts that I can add into my products and services that I can make Ask Me Anythings about. Networking, that's one place I get it. And then, I ask questions all the time. I ask questions on Facebook. I ask questions on Twitter. You can ask questions anywhere. Ask questions on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Wherever you are on social media, you can ask questions. And I encourage you to do so. And when you ask questions, you'll get answers. And sometimes I ask questions, and sometimes I ask for questions. I might say, what is your biggest challenge in email marketing, content-wise? Or what is your biggest challenge in generating content for a lead generator? And then people say, this is my biggest challenge. And right then and there on Facebook, I answer the question. I don't go, thanks for the question. Talk to me later, or go to my Ask Me Anything, or read my blog. I don't do that. I say, here's the answer, and I'm going to blog about that. And I'll put a link to my blog, or I'll put that on my Ask Me Anything, and I'll put a link to that so they can see that it's there. But I answer the question right then and there. And then I take that question and I develop it into content, whatever makes sense. So asking questions on social media and asking for questions on social media is really useful. Point 3. I host events. I host events for authors. I host events for entrepreneurs. And I'm always asking them, what's your biggest challenge? What are the 3 biggest challenges you're coming up with? What kind of speakers would you like to get? And as they answer these questions, I go out and I find speakers that will help them answer the questions they have. But I also gather the information and I keep it and I use it in my blog posts, in my products and services, and in Ask Me Anything, for example. So if you're at events, if you're hosting events, use that to help you understand what your clients need. And then by bringing that in, speakers, blog posts, ebooks, whatever it is that you need to bring in. 4, call up clients. I do this all the time. I call up clients, or someone says, I'm having a problem. I'll say, call me, we'll talk. And I just talk to them for an hour and I ask them what all their challenges are. I answer their questions. And then afterwards, I write down all their questions. And then I create blog posts and products and services, and I write books or whatever I happen to be doing with that content. So ask your clients. And then when a client's gone through your program or your coaching, so when I'm finished working with a client, the project is complete, I always ask them, What did you really like? What were your challenges? How can I improve? There's so many questions you can ask outgoing clients as well. And also asking outgoing clients helps you understand what other challenges they may have coming up that you can create products and services so that they want to come back because they've had a wonderful experience and they want to come back. So ask lots of questions of clients, current clients, past clients, and especially outgoing clients. And number 5, because I have 5. Ask questions of your email list. You know, you send out emails, you're always like sending out information to people. Well, you don't just need to send out information. You can ask them to respond. You can say, here, you know, what are your biggest challenges? What questions can I answer for you? And have them respond. And when they do that, the next email you send out, you say, oh, well, you know, last email I sent out, Bob asked this question. Here's the question. Here's the answer. So put it in the email as well. Because if they're asking an email, you give them answer an email, and Ask Me Anything, and your blog post, and your books, and your products and services. So wherever somebody asks me a question, I give them an answer to that question right then and there, or right in that context, using that media, because that's the way they're asking me. And then I also take that question and I develop content around it. Sometimes there are things that seem to be ongoing, so I have it ongoing. Other times it's just they could use a checklist on the checklist, and I put that out. Make sense? This is Ask Me Anything. I'm Melody, Chief Storyteller at the Fairy GMA Academy, and if you have a question, ask it in the comments below. Ask me on Facebook, Melody Owen. Ask me on Twitter, at OMelodyAnn. Ask me on Instagram. Ask me anywhere you want. Email us at askus@fairygma.com, and I will see you next Wednesday when I have another question. We'll see you then. Ciao.